Hey guys, welcome back. Thanks for checking out the channel today. On today's video, I am actually inside my Wrangler because today we're going to be checking out the new Tesla style 13.6 inch Android powered screen that I've installed on my Wrangler. This screen is from a brand called Acar. I'll put a link below if you want to check out the unit and their website. But I've had this unit installed in my Jeep for about a month now, and I've been testing it out to figure out how it works, figure out a good opinion of the product, and then today we're going to really go through the features, show you guys what this screen does and can offer, tell you guys what it doesn't do that well and what it needs to improve on. And we're also going to take a look at the installation so that you can all get an understanding of how easy or straightforward this item is to install in your own Jeep. So before we get into the features and the benefits of this unit, let's go take a look at the installation so that you guys can get a good understanding of the step-by-step process it takes to get this unit into your dash. Before we get into the installation today, let's take a look at all the components that come with this kit, discussing what each item is for, and mentioning which items we will actually be using to complete the installation of this unit. First is the main unit itself. As mentioned, this is a 13.6 inch Android powered screen, and it comes in this nice custom molded plastic housing that is designed specifically for the Jeep JL. The housing has 6 preset buttons. First is your off button for your auto start function feature, and then you have your off button for your traction control. You have your hazard button right here. On the other side, you have your hill descent button, you have your off button for your parking sensor, and then you have the button right here for your max defrost. The unit does have 2 dials. One is for the entertainment system right here. So this button on the top turns the screen off and on, and the dial adjusts the volume. The other one is for the climate control. So the button on the top turns the system on and off, and the dial adjusts the fan speed. The first wiring harness that we have is the main power adapter. Basically what this allows you to do is connect your stock square power adapter on this end, and then all these wires run to different locations on the back of this unit and connect to different cords to make everything work. The next wire we have is the reverse camera wiring harness, and basically what this allows you to do is run your stock reverse camera with the unit. The next 2 wires work together, and what they're designed to do is make you be able to use all your stock ports and connections throughout the vehicle with this unit. So this will connect to the stock connection, which turns it into a USB, which connects to this wiring harness here, and then it connects into the back of the unit. That will give you the ability to use all of your stock ports and connections with this unit. The next thing we have is the GPS antenna. This is designed to go with this unit, but we're not going to be using this today for our installation because what I have gone ahead and purchased is this adapter right here, which does not come with the kit. I will put a link below where I got it. I basically got it on Amazon. And basically what this is going to allow us to do is utilize the stock GPS antenna by connecting this end into the back of the unit right here. The next wire that we have is this wire here, which is basically your adapter for your main antenna. So for your FM radio and AM radio, it basically connects to the stock connection right here, and then this goes into the back of the unit. The next wiring combination that we have here is for a microphone. This is basically, if you do not have a stock microphone, you would utilize this, and then it would connect to this cord, which would then plug into the back. Because we have a stock microphone, we're not going to be using this item today. The next cord here is for if you have an aftermarket sound system or sub. This cord basically allows you the ability to connect all of your aftermarket subs and speakers to this, and then it would connect to the unit. We will not be using this today because I do not have anything aftermarket. The only sound system I have is the upgraded factory system that should already connect using all the different wires down there. The last thing we have is a feature that this unit offers that the stock ones don't, and it's basically the idea that you can actually give your device a actual SIM card wireless connection or a a phone line almost. Because what you can do here is using this cord here, you can actually put a SIM card in the back of this, and then that would give your unit the ability to be always connected by itself without the use of a phone to an actual 5G connect. These here are the antennas that would work with this system, but for us, I am not going to be installing or using this feature right now, and mainly because I use my phone for a lot of my connections, so we're not going to be using this at time. Maybe later I'll think about this, but for now we will not use this, and we will just use the signal that we use with our phone. So with this unit, there are no installation instructions. There is a booklet that comes with it that shows you some of the features of the actual UI of the new system, but they don't show you exactly how to complete the installation or even how to remove the old unit. So what we're going to do is we're going to try and be as detailed as possible with the installation so that you guys get an understanding of what steps you have to do to complete this and to install it correctly. The first part is removing the stock unit. And this can be easily done by first using a pry tool and pulling up this climate control panel right here. As we are going to be removing that, we will disconnect the cords and pull that unit right out. Once that unit is completely removed, that's going to give us access to 2 screws that are right under here for this trim panel. Once we undo those, we'll be able to pull off this trim panel, which will then give us access to 4 screws that hold the main unit on. The 4 screws are on the top 4 corners. Once we undo that, we can pull the unit out and disconnect that. So we're going to go ahead and do that, and then we'll regroup on the next steps that we have to do. As you can see behind me, we've removed the stock unit from the dash. So the next part, before we can start installing the new one, is we actually need to remove a few components from the stock climate control panel and utilize them on the new unit. The first item that we need to remove is the ignition start stop button on the front here, and that can simply be done by removing the 3 bolts on the back. And then the next parts we need is the white clips that you can see on the back. These need to be pulled off and then put onto the new unit. These are all needed so that the unit can function correctly and work in the dash. So let's go ahead and do that, and we'll show you how that goes, and then we'll get to the next part of putting the unit in the dash. Now that we've got those items installed on the new unit, the next part we have to do is go ahead and start connecting the wires to the back of the unit. Because the instructions are very vague or don't exist, we're really going to take our time doing this to show you exactly where each connection goes so that you can correctly install this if this is something you're going to go ahead and install in your Jeep. The first wire we're going to start with is the main power wire. And the connections that we need to do are this white one and this black one. The white one below is going to connect underneath here to this port right here. The black one is going to go up and connect under the fuse that is located right here. Once those are connected, the next wire we're going to go ahead and do is the reverse camera wire right here. This port up here is going to connect on the top middle port right here. This wire then has to connect to the main power harness, and that's going to be done with these connections right here. The yellow one is actually going to connect to the green one right here, and then the red to the red, and the white to the white. The next wire we have here is the antenna wire, and that's simply going to plug into this port right here. So the next wires we're going to connect are the USB media port cords, and basically the first cord that we're going to connect is this gray connection right here, and it's going to go into the middle port below the white one. So we'll slide that right in there. Once that's connected, we're going to take the USB connection and we're going to slide it into the female port that is not labeled. The last cord that we get to connect is the one that we purchased, and that is the adapter for the GPS antenna, and basically we're going to take this end here and screw it onto the GPS connection at here, which is the last one or the furthest one from me on this side. So now that we've got all the wires connected to the unit, we're at the point where we're going to connect those wires to the Jeep. So the first wire we're going to start with is the easy ones, and that is the main ignition wire, which is the stock one. It just goes right back into the ignition start stop button. So that's very simple to do. Then we have the climate control button right here at the bottom. So that's the same switch right here that we're going to plug into that one right there. Now we have the main powering harness. So that's the big box right here, and that's going to connect to, of course, the big box that comes out of the vehicle. When you're sliding this on, just do not force it. Make sure that you have it in the right configuration. Once it starts to slide, the lock is going to start to close, and you can press that shut and it connects. The next cord that we have is the USB port connection, and that's basically this one right here is going to connect to this gray port right here. You really want to make sure that it goes in the right way. Next cord is for the FM antenna, and that's the white connection right here, and that's just going to connect to this black one. Hello. After that, these remaining cords are going to have to be done kind of while we put the unit in. So what they're going to be is we're going to take this red one right here, and it's going to connect to the little red port that's located right here on the unit. So there's not enough length for me to do it here, so we're gonna have to do it while we're putting the unit in. And then the other cord that we're gonna also do is this blue one right here, which is this adapter that we purchased. It's gonna plug to the teal one right here. So we'll do that as we're installing it, and then we're probably gonna be ready to power it up. So let's go and do that. Now that the unit's installed, let's power it up and see how it goes. Okay, so as you can see, the installation of this unit is pretty straightforward. Yes, there was no instructions, so this video is going to be very important for you to follow. But at this point, let's take a look at some of the features of this screen so that you can get a good understanding of what it offers. This is the home screen for the device. Basically, when you press the home button at the bottom here, it brings you to this screen, and from this screen, you can access everything you need. At the top, we have some preset options, which are the navigation, radio, music, video, car auto, which is basically your Android Auto or your Apple CarPlay, and then you have your Bluetooth setting, which is where you would go to set up your connection for your phone to the device. And then in the middle here, you have a bunch of widgets that are explaining some useful information. I believe this section is fully customizable, but I haven't got into it. But as they're widgets, I don't see why you wouldn't be able to customize this, put your own images, or have different information shown here. At the bottom, we have your home button. As we mentioned, we have a back button. Like most device, whenever you move forward in an app, you can hit the back button to go back a page. That still exists. At the bottom here, we have a volume, touch volume control option where you can change the volume, and you can also use the dial on this side to change the volume, as well as to maintain some stock feature, you can use the buttons behind the steering wheel to change the volume. So it's great that they still were able to maintain a lot of the function that happened behind the steering wheel to work with this unit. As this unit is an Android-based unit, we also have apps, and here you have an app menu. When you open this up, you can see a bunch of apps that have already been installed or came with the unit, like Gmail, Google Maps, and then there's some functional ones in here like Car Auto and Bluetooth music. All of these are part of the unit, but you also have the ability to go into Google Play and download your own apps into the system. So what I did was I went ahead and get Netflix and YouTube because I wanted to see if you could actually use those through your Bluetooth connection, but unfortunately you are not able to, and you actually require a network connection to play those apps while moving around. This basically means that you have to hotspot your phone so that you can have that connection, or have the SIM card attachment installed so that this unit has its own network connection and has access to that type of data transfer. Not a big deal to me because I don't plan to actually watch videos while driving, but if I were parked and I had a Wi-Fi connection near, I could easily watch videos through this, or if I ran my hotspot, I could easily do that as well. One thing to mention, because this screen is long and we've had to remove the stock climate control, all of the stock climate controls have become touch. If you click here at the bottom, it pulls up this window, and on this window you have all the options that have come available with stock, and you can simply turn it on by pressing the button over here. The dial turns the fan up and down, and then here you have all the different modes and options, changing to, you know, if you want it on your face, if you want it on your feet. You can do dual options where both sides will change temperature together. If you turn that off, you can change just the passenger up and move the driver's side down. When the car is on, you can also change the heated seats to the 3 levels. So if you press this 3 times, it changes levels. You can also turn the steering wheel on and off. All of that stuff is still maintained that you could do with the stock unit are still here in this unit. One of the main reasons that I purchased this screen, besides the overall cool look of this screen and how it fits into the dash, was because it comes with wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. With the old Uconnect, I was definitely tired of having to always plug my phone in to be able to engage the Android Auto. But with this system, as soon as I jump in the car and turn it on, it automatically connects and then boots up Android Auto. Android Auto is right here in the car auto. If you click this section, this would also boot up your Apple CarPlay. It'd be the same thing depending on which you set up, but you can see it boots up my Waze app, and my Spotify music is here. It basically boots up everything I want to have on the fly. This is great because it means that if I'm running around town, I know that I'm easily gonna be able to just jump in and out of the vehicle and Android Auto will automatically connect. The only thing I did notice is that if you are driving long drives, because of the data transfer with the Bluetooth, if you're running that for long drives, your phone will definitely die. So I highly recommend, if you're doing a long drive, just plug your phone in anyways, because that way when you get to the event, your phone is not dead. If you're not using Android Auto, the system does have its own navigation, but unfortunately, it needs a network connection. You can set any app up to this if you want Google Maps, if you want, for me, I set up Waze, but unfortunately I need a network connection. So if you're going to use this navigation, the best way to do this is to probably install the SIM card attachment, get a SIM and get a plan so that your unit always has a mobile connection. You can see this is one of the downfalls. I went from a unit that had a built-in navigation system, and with this unit, I definitely no longer have the built-in navigation, but it's not a big concern because I use Android Auto all the time. If we go back to home, the next feature is the built-in radio. This is your standard radio platform. You have your FM and your AM options. You can select your channels. You can make presets and select those. You can really do everything you would do with a stock unit. It's just a different way of doing it. It's all touch. You also have the ability to go in here and adjust sound levels. You can change different preset modes, as well as add custom ones. You can see there's a lot more range of adjustability. For me, I'm not sure what all these do, so I really have to play with it when I'm doing it. But for someone who has more experience with audio, this is probably gonna be a piece of cake for you to use. The next two things are kind of built-in features for the system. It's when you don't have a wireless connection, these are gonna be very valuable. It's basically music and video, and what it means is this is where you can go and download music to the device so that when you're not connected to a signal, you'll have media and music to play. These units come with either 16 or 8 megabytes of memory, so there's lots of room for you to add your own music and videos to the unit. The next thing to really talk about is the fact that this unit still maintains a lot of the stock features that the Uconnect had. If you go here to the apps menu and then click on the car settings, you'll find all of the adjustable things that were in the Uconnect are still here. So here you can change, headlight wipers on when your, or headlights on when your wipers are on. You can decide if you want that on and off. You can do everything in here. There is some things that are kind of generic that don't apply for your vehicle, like a power liftgate, but you can see there's no option here because a Jeep Wrangler does not have it. But otherwise, you have everything you need here from the stock one is still accessible, and you can change on the fly. Also comes with its own kind of adjustment options. It has ambient lighting where you can go in and change the color of the lights that show up behind these rings and buttons. You can change it to whatever you want. Obviously the vehicle's not on, so it's not changing, but you can change that. You can also have color changing where it just continuously changes colors. Lots of cool little, maybe gimmicky effects, but things you can do. You also have the actual Android apps in here, and I believe you went to settings. You could go in here and there's a bunch of system settings, there's network, everything's in here. You can actually find Android settings like what you would on an Android phone. Everything is here. One of the things that is not the best about this system is the reverse cameras. So let's turn it on and then we'll talk about what the issue I see. So when we throw it in reverse, throws up the camera. And the first thing I noticed when I did this was the camera was not as crisp and clean as it was with the stock unit. And I think this has to do with the fact that the unit is taking the analog camera and changes that signal into a digital one to work with this screen. So what happens is the screen gets a little blurry or foggy. It's not as bad right now in the daylight, but at night I definitely find this difficult to see. So guys, you can see that the screen has a lot of features and functionality. I probably wasn't able to show you everything because at this point, I don't know everything it actually does. One thing I want to make sure you guys understand is that I don't think this unit is perfect. I think it still has some issues and some quirks, but nothing that is going to prevent me from recommending this item. The one big thing is the reverse camera. And as you saw, the image quality just isn't as good as stock. And I think what I'm going to try and do is a future video where I actually replace the analog camera with a digital one to see if that solves the issue and improves the image quality for this unit. But you'll have to stay tuned for that video because I'm not going to be doing that today. That will be a future video. So make sure to check that out when it gets posted. Another quirk that this item has is the dual power buttons. I'm not sure why they couldn't have just made that a different image that represented climate control, but it's not that big of a deal. Really, maybe down the future, I can change that to an image that I think makes sense. Otherwise, I just got to remember that this side is for the media and that side is for the climate control. Another issue that I found after using this for a bit was to do with the screen. Not necessarily to do with what the image is, but to do with the actual physical surface. So as this is a big screen, the stock surface is actually a gloss finish. And well, when you have open top, no doors, windows down, it's hard to have a big, flat, glossy surface in the center of your Jeep because you end up with so much glare. And there's even a fact when I was driving that I could see the passenger in the screen rather than seeing the image. So what I did was I went on Amazon and found a 13.6-inch laptop anti-glare, anti-fingerprint, anti-scratch screen. And luckily, that was the perfect size because all I had to do was peel and stick it and it fit right on. But once I applied that screen, it reduced the glare and now I even have protection for the screen. So I highly recommend that if you are purchasing this unit, that you purchase that anti-glare screen protector. I'll put a link below if you want to check that out. The next thing that I want to mention is the little bugs that I've run into. So there are some little bugs that do occur with this system. It's maybe you're using an app and the app kind of glitches out. They're not that much different than what used to happen with the Uconnect, but luckily with the Android one, they're a little easier to clear up. Sometimes with the Uconnect one, I used to have issues where I'd be plugging my phone in and the Android Auto wouldn't start up, and then maybe the screen would freeze. And the only way to fix that was to restart the entire vehicle. Well, with the Android one, if an app gets a little messed up, luckily all you can do is you just go into the back way and you can actually close that app and then it restarts. So it is good, but it does have some glitches and they do happen here and there. So the big question that most of you are probably wondering is, am I going to recommend this? And yes, I am going to recommend this unit because of two reasons. First one is the overall look. This screen has such a modern look to the inside of the Jeep now. and it fits like a dream. It's not just an aftermarket screen that's added on. It looks well integrated into the dash to the point that it almost looks like something that would come from the factory. The plastic matches the other black plastic. The gaps behind the housing are almost perfect. There's barely any gap. The next thing is because of the functionality. This screen not only gives you the wireless Android Auto and wireless CarPlay that most standard vehicles come with now, but it also gives you apps. And that's a cool feature because it gives you the ability to add whatever you want to your screen, whether it's a trail app, whether it's a game, whether it's a movie. You can add anything you want and have it in your system. So that's a cool feature that they probably will never have in the Uconnect because they don't want to have all these extra apps and things in that system. So at this point, guys, we're going to wrap this video up. If you are looking to purchase this unit for yourself, make sure to visit the link below. And luckily, I arranged a discount code with the vendor, which is Evolved Jeeping. So when you're purchasing your unit, make sure to put that in as the discount code, and you'll receive a small discount on the price and save a little bit of money on your order. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to post them below and I'll do the best to answer them. At this point, please make sure to like, subscribe, and share. I do have some very exciting installations coming soon, so make sure to hit that notification button so you get notified of when those get posted. But for now, we'll see you guys on the next video.